I was rereading your bio this morning, and I was like, the pieces started fitting in place. I mean, we've known each other for 6, 7 years now, but I was starting to really understand your background. And for people who don't know, you had kind of made your first kind of fortune on Wall Street, gone to long-term capital, put the money in long-term capital. The smartest people in the room, from Nobel Prize winners to the top people on Wall Street, and then you watch that go bankrupt and almost take the financial system down. You had to also engineer that as general counsel. But I think that was your aha moment where you said, wait a second, even these people aren't looking at these markets intelligently. And then I think that's when you started developing these systems. Did I get that right?
That's a very good synopsis. I'm kind of working on my third fortune right now, but the first two it took a hickey back in 1998. But what happened is I had a long career on Wall Street. Made a certain amount of money. Came into long-term capital management in 1994 before the launch. So I was the only general counsel through the collapse in 1998. But I was the lawyer. Now, I'm not washing my hands of the risk management and all that. We work side by side with these guys. I mean, Myron, on a quiet day, Myron Scholes, who is Nobel Prize winner in economics, inventor of the Black-Scholes formula, which is the basis of $1 quadrillion notional value of derivatives in the world. By the way, for people not familiar with the Q word, 1 quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. So that's how many derivatives, off balance sheet derivatives we have. But Myron, invented that formula that's at the base of all of it. And he would, really nice guy. And I'd be sitting at my desk, and he'd walk in. I had a whiteboard, and I would ask him some dumb question about the markets, and he would sit there and give me like a 2-hour tutorial. So can you imagine getting a private 2-hour tutorial from a Nobel Prize winner? So yeah, I was around when there weren't that many of us. But I was sort of the lawyer, very focused on that, compliance, contracts. I wrote the derivatives contracts, so I was very immersed in all that. But I was kind of comfortable putting my money with the firm, including the money I'd made previously. I said, wait a second, these guys are, even the guys who didn't win the Nobel Prize had 160 IQs. They were the real deal. They were, one of them was the youngest full professor in the history of Harvard University, and the vice chairman of the Federal Reserve. 2 Nobel Prize winners. JM, John Meriwether, was legendary on Wall Street. So that was the crowd. So I was at ease about the money, just very much focused on my job. And then when it all fell apart in 1998, I always say in the US system, it's true in the UK also, when things really, really, really go bad, they hand it to the lawyer. So like, hey, well, I can't deal with this. Give it to the lawyers. And so it can be a bankruptcy trustee. We did not go into bankruptcy, but a negotiator, bailout expert. There are many people specialize in that. So I got the whole thing handed to me, and then we organized it and got through it. We were able to foam the runways and, with the 4 engines flaming, kind of bring it in for a soft landing. But I can tell you, Brian, from the inside, we were hours away from closing every exchange in the world sequentially. It would have started in Tokyo. We got a term sheet on a Wednesday, 5 days. Nobody slept. I mean, nobody slept. In big law firms, I was working. We had a base at Skadden Arps. My office was up in Greenwich, but I was back and forth. So the first day, everyone looks like a lawyer. Second day, the ties come off. Third day, the jackets come off and the shirts are unbuttoned down to the middle of the chest. No one's showered or bathed or whatever. And it just gets grubbier, but you sort of power through it and get it done. And we did late on a Sunday night before Tokyo opened. But if it had fallen down, and it came close, Tokyo Stock Exchange would have been closed. And then, Singapore and Paris and London and New York, they would have probably reopened a few days later, but it would have been a shock like nothing since the Great Depression. So, but the problem is we did get through it. And 2 things. Number one, it was 24 years ago. So 25 years ago almost. So people kind of fuzzing on it. If you're under 40, it's probably like a footnote in some economics book or whatever. But if you were there, it was pretty scary. But I came out of it, and of course I lost money. One of the reasons we weren't lynched, there was no wrongdoing. There was a huge risk management failure and a huge financial loss, no doubt. But there was no wrongdoing. This was I used to say we knew to the penny how much money we were losing because our accounting was really good. But we were looked at by the SEC and the CFTC, and there were no lawsuits, and so we kind of got through it all. I mean, interestingly, some of the principals after long-term capital, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off. They started new companies and made $1 billion. So they had the talent. We just had a very bad patch. But I sort of looked at it myself and said, well, wait a second. These people really were who they said they were. They really were that good. They really were the top brains in the world in this field. And yet they had this disastrous outcome, massive failure risk management. They're not dumb, they're not venal, but they must be doing something wrong. I don't mean in the moral legal sense. I mean, there must be something wrong in the model, in the way they understood markets, or you wouldn't have ended up that way. So I continued my career. I ran a stock exchange after that. It was not long after 9/11. I was tapped by the CIA and, did that for 10 years. But I never got over this. Well, what were they missing? And so then I just kind of on my own time, in my own way, I started exploring what could be wrong with the models, what assumptions were at odds with the facts. How did markets actually work, and what models did work? And then if you do that, it's not long before you discover, Benoit Mandelbrot and other analysts who had kind of got it right. Edward Lorenz, who was the founder of modern complexity theory. And then you sort of, you check the footnotes and read those articles. And the more I got into it, I said, hey, this is the right way to understand it. And then I started writing on that, lecturing on that. And then because of my national security work, I got tapped to go out to Los Alamos National Laboratory. And that's like, good luck getting in. That's harder to get in than any other place I've ever been. But it's on a mesa, so unless you're coming through the main access road, you got to be like a mountain climber to go up 1,000 feet, and then you'll get attacked by dogs or whatever. But working with people who were simulating nuclear explosions in a supercomputer, because you can't blow things up anymore, but we still have to do the weapons development. But I was meeting with them to collaborate on taking that branch of physics and complexity theory and bring it to capital markets. So what was interesting, I would say something, well, I did say this, I would say, if we had used what we call team science or interdisciplinary approaches, as if we had some physicists, applied mathematicians, an economist, a lawyer, a behavioral psychologist, maybe an artist, I don't know, just a group, we could crack the code. We could figure this out. And the physicists were like, great idea. Let's put it together. Let's make a proposal. Let's get the funding. They love that. And the Santa Fe Institute's right there, and they've got a lot of the same talent. But you would go to an economist and say, well, would you like to join this team? They would say, well, you have nothing to teach us. Why would we want to work with physicists? I mean, what does that have to do with economics? So interestingly, the biggest impediment to improving economic science were the economists themselves, because they're so drenched, marinated, I guess, in their own models, most of which are mistaken, that they can't see the way forward. So I got a lot out of that. I just started doing it myself, building my own models and working with teams. I've started companies that do that now. So I've had a lot of success with it.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, Learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I am just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
This course has been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just an overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.